सबको नमस्कार। हमारा नीरज और विजय मकीजा ने बहुत प्लान करके सरकारी लोगों को आफ्टरनून में बिठाया। सुबह आप लोग सब अच्छा बैटिंग किया, अभी हमको बिठाया, देखो आफ्टरनून में कैसे बैट करते सरकारी लोग। That is a good way of taking a lighter note to put everybody onto the tone. And then what is regulations? Let me speak 2-3 minutes to set the tone. What is regulations and its impact on animal agriculture? This is the talk for about an hour now, 3:10, maybe 4:10 or 4:15 we will manage. To give you an understanding of what is regulations, I remember in 1988, when I came to Bangalore, Bakery Circle were a small lamppost with everybody in bike or scooter roaming around bindas. Even in cycle, I used to go 4 people for a movie. What is today? Today what has happened is traffic signals. Signal is a regulation. अभी कभी सोचा था आपने ऐसा रेगुलेशन आएगा, हम उसमें आपको दिखेगा येलो, ग्रीन, रेड, सेकंड्स, वो कभी सोचा था नहीं। अभी क्या हो गया? We have now understood, oh, it's a compulsion. We cannot imagine 1988 of Bakery Circle. Today it's whoever comes to Bangalore blame on traffic in Bangalore. So that is how we get adapted into regulation today. We are going into regulations. Let me come to straight question to you. How many of you seen FSSI website? Please raise your hand. I can count few numbers. Please visit. How many of you seen BAS website? Good. Now I'll ask you a question. How many of you know there is a concept called FSSI registration? It's just like notification. You can just do in an app within very, very fast. Good. The next one is license. We call it as license. I think Amit Sharma will explain more. It's very simple. जो बताया जाएगा simple, then you will all follow very simple. 100 rupees fees for registration. 5,000 rupees just for the license if your turnover is less than 12 lakhs to 20 crores. If you are doing more than 20 crores, don't worry, ज़्यादा नहीं है, 7,500 rupees. So these are the numbers which you have to mull on, think on. इतना easy है सरकार. सरकार अभी इंडिया में we have gone into digital India. I will tell you how. Again, to set the tone, Aadhaar. Can you believe 1.31 billion Aadhaar cards in India? It's an example to the world now. People are following how you could do so much of digitalization. 1.31 billion आधार कार्ड्स. दूसरा एग्जांपल मैं लूंगा, जब ई टोल आया था, RFID टैग, कितना झगड़ा हुआ टोल में? बहुत झगड़ा, नहीं पैसा दूंगा, मैं नहीं लगाऊंगा, मैं स्टिकर नहीं लगाऊंगा. Everybody fought. Today what has happened? Do you know what is the per day collection of e-toll in our tolls as I speak now? Any guess? कौन बनेगा करोड़पति? Any number? 100 crores per day, 3,000 crores per month, 36,000 crores per year. That is a collection of e-toll today. That is India now. Now I'll give you another example. Since we are all talking about brand. Neeraj knows that. When a brand comes to India, it marks in such a way that Bata, we believe that Indian brand. How many of you believe Bata is not an Indian brand? Not an Indian brand? How many of you believe Bata is an Indian brand? Please rise, don't hesitate. मेरा ताता भी वही यूज किया था, मेरा उसका भी वही. That is not the mindset now. Now I'll come to the another great highway we established, Unified Payment Interface, UPI. Other day I was in Pune for asking for a pani puri. पैसा देने से वो बोलता है स्कैन करो भैया. Scan karo bhaiya became a new mantra. What is the scan? QR code, UPI. What has happened? Last August, 6 billion was the transaction. 10 to 11 lakh crores is the money we are doing through the digital economy. But again, I'll come to brand. Phone Pay. Kiske paas Phone Pay hai? How many of you believe it's an Indian brand? How many of you believe? There's one gentleman rising. Please tell your name. I'll take only 2 minutes. Huh? Krishna Charan says phone pay is an Indian brand. How many of you believe Krishna Charan now? So no answer. Phone pay is from Walmart. Phone Pay's market share now in India, in the UPI, whatever I said, is 49.3 as on last month. Google Pay 34%, Paytm 10%. What is that I am trying to tell is Atmanirbhar Bharat, we have to think in this line also. Okay, so these are the things which I want to set the tone so that I could get every eyes to me now. That is the only funda, nothing else to give. Now I'll keep the last one as interesting aspect as ONDC. I'll come back in the last, keep searching ONDC, I'll give a great thought on that. So now 3:15, I've taken 5 minutes. How do I structure this panel discussion? First, we have two presentations. My good friend Dr. Amit Sharma will talk on FSSI. As I mentioned, FSSI is a great body. Think about like a traffic signal. It's our benefit. It's for our benefit. That's what he will present first. Followed by Dr. Parminder Singh, a dairy expert from the academia from Gadwasu. He will make a short presentation, both 10 minutes. Then we'll have a panel discussion, open questions to all of them. Will that be all right? Yeah, that's fine. Now I would invite Dr. Amit Sharma to go ahead with the presentation.
So I realized that we are just a small drop in the entire ocean of the knowledge. But somehow there has been a lot of disconnect from this sector with the food authority. And that's the reason that I feel that I should be over here, interact with you more, so that we can bridge some gap and establish some sort of communication, so that whenever we are coming up with the regulation for the feed, so the regulations may be drafted in such a way that they are required the way they should be, and they are also implementable. So I don't find any need to say that the connect between the food safety or the implication of the feed on the food safety is well established over the years. And for the first time, when the European Union put up the restrictions on the import of Indian aquaculture product way back in 1995, that was for the first time when they raised the issue that until and unless we establish some sort of controls on the feed sector which is being fed to the aquaculture farms, there may be some issues in the import of the aquaculture products. Of course, at that point of time, different departments were doing some activity in their own. Some of the established brands, they were working at their own level, but all were working in isolation. And somehow none of the government department was willing to take over the charge of the animal feed sector. So more or less the entire animal feed sector was working, or they were self-controlling themselves. And when Food Safety Authority was established way back in 2008, it also does not cover the animal feed into it. So primarily it covers all sort of the entire chain of the food sector, like the manufacturer, distribution, transporter, sales and everything. It omits or it removes, it does not consider the farmer or the farming operations, the aquaculture or the crop related activities, the livestock rearing activities were kept out of the ambit of the Food Safety Authority, or the live animal related activities were kept out of the ambit of this authority and the act. And in 2018, when the DG Sante sent their team for the audit of official control of Indian exporting competent authorities for product of animal origin, that was a time when they put up a serious alert to Indian authorities saying that there has been repeated interceptions on the presence of prohibited antibiotics or the presence of antibiotics beyond permissible limit in the food of animal origin, and that was primarily from the EU. It was for the aquaculture products, and for some other countries like Egypt, it was for the aflatoxin in the dairy products. And that was the time when Food Safety Authority also carried out certain national level milk quality survey, and we also did a very selective meat product survey and the dairy product survey in northern part of the country, and the results were quite astonishing even to us. And recently, day before yesterday, when we were having a closing meeting with the DG Sante, who has been in India from 12th to 29th of last month, and during the closing meeting, they emphasized very clearly that now they have increased the sampling and testing of the Indian aquaculture product from 10% to 20% to 50%. Now, you all know that the more I test, the more there are chances that I may get the non-compliances. And now the Indian products are tested at a 50% frequency, and it is one of the strong recommendations by them that we should do something to exercise control on the animal feed, which is being fed to the aquaculture farmers. Now, during the course of their 2 weeks visit, they also visited certain veterinary medicine sales shops also. And I remember the case of the visit of Dr. Buller, who is a repeat auditor for India, when he visited one aquaculture farm and he found one 10 kg bag full of nitrofurazone in an aquaculture farm. And he says that even if this is the only nitrofurazone bag available in the entire country, and it is being used in the aquaculture farm, still it will cross the requirement of the EU. So, under no circumstances the prohibited drugs shall be used in the product of animal origin, and that's feasible unless we have a regulatory base or the legal basis for it. And yes, the day before yesterday, when we were having a closing meeting for the poultry, dairy and aquaculture sector for the residues and the hygiene, it was a clear-cut recommendation, and we have confirmed to the DG Sante that India is coming up with the regulation so that we can exercise some control legally on the animal feed sector, so that the product of animal origin can continuously be exported to these countries. So, our target is that whenever these products are exported, they should be tested at a minimal level of frequency of the testing, maybe 5 to 10%, and which means that whenever animal feed is also exported to these countries, or animal feed is imported into the country, then also we require some legal base so that their import can also be controlled. And as I said that during our national level milk quality survey, we come across certain cases of, I'm not talking about the quality aspect of the products, but the aflatoxin limits. Aflatoxin was found in the liquid milk. And what was the most surprising to us was that one of the leading brand of dairy in the country, which was also approved for export to EU, and when we were carrying out the residue monitoring program throughout the year, almost out of 120 samples which were collected, 31 were found non-compliant for the presence of aflatoxin. Now, when we talk about the brands, as was discussed just now, so in India and everywhere, we establish some sort of confidence in the brands. Now, if we come across a case, and if this kind of reports are publicized with throughout the country, that more than 40% samples are found non-compliant for the presence of aflatoxin in one of the leading brand of a dairy product. Of course, they are doing at their own level to control the transmission of toxins from feed to the food, but still we are finding it. And this was a very scary situation when we have to present this data to the EU, because we cannot hide anything from them. We have already been providing all the details. So, when we were trying to gain a market access for dairy, it was a situation where we have to cut a sorry figure. Similarly, when we had carried out that residue monitoring program, and we realized that certain, even for the meat products, some of the antibiotics were being used which are off-label in use. So, not prescribed for poultry, but used in poultry, not prescribed directly for the dairy, but used in the dairy sector. And aflatoxin in dairy, which is mentioned in the last corner, right-hand side corner, it's about the almost 3 years back story, when aflatoxin was found in some of the consignments of milk powder in Egypt. But for aquaculture product, it's a very serious situation that we are getting a lot of non-compliances, especially for the veterinary medicinal products. And globally, you all know that most of the countries are having a common regulatory authority for food and feed. Like in case of EU or the US, they are having a specific regulations for the feed. And some of the countries, they regulate the pet feed as well. And some of the countries like EU or the US, they also exempt the feed which is being manufactured by the farmer for their own or for their own captive use. Now, there were questions were being discussed during our previous interaction that suppose that there is a big manufacturing group who is having say 30, 40 or 100 feed manufacturing plant, and they are not supplying their feed to the market, but they are supplying to their own farms, or they are supplying this feed material to their own contracted farms, whether this regulation will be applicable to them or not. So, these discussions will keep on going on. And that's the reason that when we look at the Indian feed control system, we find that for the export, there is some control on the feed additive, like when Export Inspection Council is monitoring it as per the requirement of European Union. But similarly, there are some sort of controls exercised by departments like Coastal Aquaculture Authority to some extent. BIS standards are there for most of the feed commodities, but they are voluntary in nature except for one. And but by and large, the feed industry is quite self-reliant and self-compliant. And that's the reason that as one of the outshoot of, or the action taken as the outshoot of the national level milk quality survey, we have issued a direction that the compound cattle feeds which is being sold in the market shall be registered with the BIS, and which means that they should follow the BIS standards. And subsequently, we also notify that the milk and meat producing animals except poultry, pig and fish, they must not be fed with the feed containing meat or bone meal. So the basic idea is that there are countries who are exporting the dairy products to India where the ruminants are fed with the ruminant origin products, so which is restricted in India. And that's the reason that the US is finding it very difficult to provide the veterinary certificate for export of dairy products to India. And hence we have come up with a proposed regulation. The proposal has already been forwarded for the cabinet circulation, and we are expecting that it may be approved in the winter session of parliament, and maybe operationalized. We may come up with a draft regulation sometime in the last quarter of this financial year. And the idea of this proposed regulation would be to improve the quality and safety of animal feed. Previously it was only quality, now safety will be there. And the raw material which is being used for the manufacture of the animal feed. And the scope will be to regulate, supervise, control the manufacture, sale and distribution, and it will also cover the imports. And what will be covered? So animal feed for all sort of species like cattle, poultry, large animals, small animals and all. The customer or farm-made animal feed, it's still a if one farmer is having their own feed mill at their one farm, supplying to their birds or animals in their own farm itself, that will definitely be exempted. But if there is an integration of the farms and wherein the feed is being supplied throughout the country, then that's the issue which we need to discuss. Right now, we are keeping the pet food out of the ambit of this regulation. The raw material will definitely be covered and feed additives will definitely be covered. And it will cover all the manufacturers, point of sale, domestic and storage, import, and the transporters. Broadly speaking, we will try to focus not on the quality parameters, but on the horizontal standards. And when I say the horizontal standards, it primarily covers the presence of the contaminants, like residues of antibiotic, pesticides, heavy metals, hormones, whatever, but not the quality parameters of the feed. So we have proposed two models to the government. One model relies more on the infrastructure and the machinery available with the animal husbandry department, which means that we will have an online portal which is right now being used for the food sector, and we will have a separate entity for the animal feed. The food authority will frame the standards and the regulations, which will be integrated with the Department of Animal Husbandry, and then we will work with the state animal husbandry departments. They will be entrusted with the task for carrying out the pre-license inspection of the feed business operators. They will be responsible for doing the monitoring of the feed business operators, and they will also be responsible for the market surveillance. And this data will be available centrally with the Food Safety Authority as well as the common portal of the Animal Husbandry Department. So primarily they will be carrying out the licensing and enforcement activity, and Food Safety Authority on their own may carry out some of the on and off sort of enforcement or surveillance activity. Another model which we have proposed is the way we are regulating the food. On the same pattern, we regulate the feed, which means that we have a central government, central licensing authority, and the state licensing authorities, and depending upon the turnover of the company, we either issue a license or issue the state license or issue a registration to the specific company. We carry out the inspection and we carry out all the market surveillance. However, it was internally discussed that since Animal Husbandry Department is already having a sufficient infrastructure available with them at the state level, and they have a technical expertise available with them, so we may be notifying the State Animal Husbandry Director as a feed safety commissioner once this regulation is notified. And this is just for the information that, as I said, that amendment in the Act is in process. And there were discussions in the past that some of the state governments are coming up with their own regulation. So what will happen to those regulations when the Food Safety Authority also comes up, because it will be difficult for a manufacturing establishment to comply to both state and the central regulation. So as per the section 89 of this act, any other notification by any state government, that will be superseded by the FSS regulation. So once the Food Safety Authority notifies the regulation after amendment in the act, then all the state government related regulations on the feed, that will be superseded by this act. So one nation and one feed law will be there. I think that's all which I want to say, but my submission to all of the August gathering over here, that when we are in the process of framing this regulation, we may require the support not only from the CLFMA or the INFA, but the technical experts available in the different institutions and the industry. Right now, we have opened up a online portal wherein we are requiring the technical experts on the different field. And previously, there was a mandate from the Supreme Court that we cannot hire the people from the industry. Now, we have removed that requirement, and we can hire the experts from the private sector, private industry. There is a leeway, there is a catch into it, that if an individual has worked in the industry, but now he has left, then he can apply for this position as a technical expert to the Food Safety Authority. But if someone is still working in some industry, then definitely there are issues that there may be some conflict of interest, so they are not generally empaneled. And to overcome this limitation with us, as per the directions, we are coming up with a working group. Now, for the working group, there is no limitation that it should only be from the government, but we can have the experts from the private sector who are having expertise in the respective field. So there are three areas where we are requiring the support and need the technical expert. One is framing the regulations, which we will do, but we have to vet. Second is framing the standards. The standards shall be in such a way that they meet my requirement, but they should also be implementable. Third is the training and awareness of the entire sector, because as I can see that large sector is organized, but still we are left with a lot of unorganized sector. So defining the preparing of the training content and the curriculum, we are having a FOSTEC training portal, but we have to work with the industry so that we can have a online training portal. And then is the testing. So for the testing part, we have the food laboratories who can do the testing for the feed as well. Many of them are there. But then we have to map the state-specific primary food laboratories and the referral food laboratories, wherein for the referral part, we may require the support from the different institutions and the industry and the universities. And for the primary laboratories, even if an individual is having their own laboratory, which is accredited as per ISO 17025, so their facilities can also be utilized. So this is the area where we are requiring support from the industry, so that we come up with some regulation which is meeting my requirement to ensure that food is safe, as well as which are easily implementable. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ahmed Sidla. So the alert is on yellow. जैसे बोला था ना, traffic में the alert now is on yellow. Red has not come, but they have put on green to yellow. We were all enjoying comfortably, but now FSSA has come and said, no, we cannot go on having the green light, but now yellow light has come. So be prepared for the red light in the future. Okay, with this, may I now request Dr. Parminder Singh to throw some light on dairy sector and what is the issues concerned with regulations and the impact.
I thank the organizer having faith in me to speak about certain laws, which I will say the flaws which are proposed, because the implementation is going to difficult as far as I am concerned. Before that, we have three distinguished guests in our audience. They are part of National Advisory Committee on Feed. Dr. Bhatta is sitting here, Dr. Balram Yadav and Devra Saab. And your support will definitely help the dairy industry, particularly throughout the India. And I hope that my lecture will not infringe anybody, because I am too much scrutinized what I am going to talk, what I am going to deliver. I also welcome Dr. Sridhar. You will say I am not doctor, but you are in Ludhiana and you are facilitated because of your services. So you will be the moral support. We, the people of India, are very health conscious people. The bird flu comes in Vietnam and we stopped eating chicken here. The water samples of Coca-Cola fails in Chennai and we whole over India stopped drinking Coca-Cola. The expired samples of Maggi were found unfit for human consumption in Himachal Pradesh and whole India through the Maggi, but we captured it and our dairy industry enjoyed a lot because our new generator, the European standard cows, they enjoyed Maggi a lot because that was a part of feed. And we are expecting that the aflatoxin or drug residues. I am happy that you announced that poultry is also coming in it. Thank you very much. And morning, Madam Desai has said that from 22 CP, the broiler was offered 18, and the layer were offered from 18 to 8, and nobody is going to check. So now onwards, if there is an enforcement agency, definitely the spurious element should be vanished, but the genuine people should be encouraged. But the problem is the genuine people is orphan. The feed industry is orphan industry in India because we call it industry, but we do not come under industry ministry. And nobody is going to check because feed miller is buying a raw material, grinding it and mixing it and then giving to its consumers within 1, 2 or 3 months depending upon the storage, and we say that you are the culprit. Ultimately, the level of toxins or anything problematic in the raw material starts from the farm itself, and we cannot touch that gentleman because they have the unity. And we do not have the unity, therefore we are suffering. In July, the last magazine by President Rajuria of Indian Dairy Association I was reading, and he says that our products are not exported because of the aflatoxin and the feed is culprit. Very easy to say. But feed manufacturer never ever on their own put aflatoxin in it, and they simply have their own role, but the problem is somewhere else. So that's why I am going to discuss for 10 minutes, please, things which are not possible, things which are very difficult to implement. Then you are open for discussion, please. Thank you. Next, please. I will start. Okay. Law which was proposed 2009, and today we are sitting in 2022, and we are verge of implementing this law. Already 4th revision has taken place, and it was said that type 3 is also coming. But type 3 is not coming, I will show in the next slide. The details are that type 1 and type 2 should have 11% moisture, and I tell you, during monsoon, 80% of the feed millers do not follow this. Yeah, you cannot, but that is because of moisture. But in April, May, June, they have low moisture content, and certain industry people themselves educate them how to moisten the feed to earn money. The salt is 1%. Why I was read it? Because animal needs little bit more than it. The available phosphorus, Dr. Bhatta, surprisingly, is mentioned in BS standard for dairy. How an feed miller will estimate available phosphorus? Available phosphorus is calculated by the known amount of feed consumed by the dairy animals. Its excreta has to be calculated, its urine has to be calculated, then we can know that this is available to the body. How it has come into, I don't know what was the proceeding, who were the scientists who proposed, and the ruminants have phytase activity in it, and we still want available phosphorus. Then urea 1%. Okay, thank you very much that you have said urea, we can add 1%. If any feed miller is sitting here, from where you will buy urea? Honorable Prime Minister Modi Sahab came to Punjab and said 52% Punjab farmers are using more urea than the rest of the country. And we were laughing that the major share of that urea is going to the feed, because feed miller is using that subsidized urea at the rate of 7 rupees, not the 35, 45 rupees. If we use urea, the IFCO, CRIBCO, National Fertilizer Limited, ask them, do you have feed grade urea? They will say no. The gentleman sitting here will import from the Georgia and sell us around 125 rupees, and then we take pride. And they will say, sir, add 1 kg our product and remove 5 kg soya. Very good. Simple, because of nitrogen basis. But then I said, what is the rest for? Because you are removing 5 kg and putting 1 kg, what is the 4? Should I blow the air to fill the 4%? And then they say, no, sir, DORB can be there, DORB. So DORB today is costing 70 rupees, 68 more. And then it's aflatoxin, you can well imagine. So things who are going as a practical by the able student and follow the instruction, he cannot make it. Therefore, I am pained that such a standards are coming. Then I am putting the calcite. Sir, this is also written that you cannot add 1%, more than 1% calcite powder in it. Then how the calcium level will be there, because calcium has calcite has 35%, so 0.35 gram will come. Where the rest? Sir, ICR has published 2011 standard of dairy requirement. I am not talking about the NRC 2001, 2011. We get some papers for buffalo, and they say the buffalo requirement was met by NRC. So buffalo, NRC never gives a recommendation for buffalo, but the theses are there. So ICR says that buffalo should get 4.5 gram calcium per liter of milk. The cattle should give 3.5 or 3.8 gram. So I am, sir, from Punjab, and where I am talking about 20, 30 liters of milk, and to get 100 gram of calcium, even 2 kg minimum mixture is not sufficient. So I have to add calcium powder. Again, calcium powder is from 500, 800 micron, this and that. So let's stop that. Vitamins level. Poultry BA specification is full of vitamins, not only 83E, because riboflavin, pantothenic acid, niacin, so and so. Can anybody tell me from where I can estimate the pantothenic acid? From where I will get the vitamin A, D, E estimated in my dairy feed, because we are intimated by the certain agencies as a feed miller that you will be put behind bar if you are not maintaining those standards, and the vitamins also falls into the standards. Sir, overages you have to add. Okay, I am adding overages, and my feed comes to dealer. From dealer, it goes to farmers. Would the vitamin A will remain same? And the sampling 90% will be in the farm itself, where the vitamin will be deficient, and then the penalty will be on the. If I sample the feed for vitamin A, the sampling vitamin A level is different. It will go, when reach the destination, the sample will be different, and when the person will be estimating, this estimation will be different. So such a scenario of vitamin, and that too in dairy, and that too with the law, then this is very difficult.
Dr. Parminder ji, 5 minutes.
5 minutes more than sufficient. 0.05 Indian standard in milk, 0.5 ppb in Indian standard, and 0.05 in European standard. We are the most educated people. Anybody who estimated any flaw in your milk, कोई किसी ने प्रोटीन टेस्ट कराई हो, किसी ने वाटर टेस्ट कराया हो, किसी ने एफ्लाटॉक्सिन टेस्ट कराया हो, किसी ने आप में से जो घर में दूध आता है, किसी ने नहीं कराया. सोमैटिक सेल काउंट इटसेल्फ इज ए वर्ड, वो कभी कोई पूछ नहीं रहा. साल्मोनेला, ब्रूसिलोसिस, व्हाई डोंट यू ड्रिंक मिल्क रा इटसेल्फ? यूरोप में, अमेरिका में तो कोई पीता ही नहीं. वो कहते हैं वो चाइल्ड को देते हैं थोड़ा सा गर्म करके, बाकी तो ऐसे फ्रिज से निकालते हैं, रा पीते हैं. हम यहाँ कितना कितना बॉयल करते हैं, हम तो लिक्विड कैल्शियम पीते हैं, दूध तो रहता ही. So such a scenario, we are focusing on milk because milk is a number one commodity and politics is there. Otherwise, egg, meat में A lot of work is going on poultry feed, but nothing on egg quality and meat quality, as everybody knows. And a lot of work is on milk quality, nothing is on dairy cattle feed. It is all like, जैसे करपान होती है ना ऐसे, opposite. Next slide, next please. 5 minutes. Amendment 4 has come up where it says 2 types of feed will be there. Amendment 5th August 21, net quantity when packed. A feed miller is packing 50 kg when packed, but when reaches its destination, it may lose weight. Then the problem will be there. Dr. R.S. Sodhi, the present IDA president in Pune, during the SOI meeting, said 85% share is of type 2. I put wrong either. Type 1 is not type 2. 85% share. Is there any binding that a particular feed miller will produce type 1 and particular will type 2? Then why you have type 1 and type 2? Salt, 1%, I said it needs more. Available phosphorus. And then nitrogen to sulfur ratio in new proposed law is 10:1. It means you have to add some mustard or rapeseed cake because they are good in sulfur. And it is surprisingly liquor rule 4.2.3, milk and milk products can be used in dairy ration. So milk is so cheap, the powder is so cheap that you can add. And it will not attract any aflatoxin. This is the major problem. It is written 4.24 para. I am not speaking from myself, you can check. Plant materials will be having only 20 ppb, but DORB, which is Indian standard, I have put number, rice polish, whole grains, they can contain 50 ppb. So 30 kg maize, 30 kg DORB, already 30 ppb to hui gaya. Rest you can have 0, then maybe. Then BIS has listed certain ingredients, and mind you, they have said maize should have 9% CP and 4% ether extract. I have here in the audience, maize breeders might be sitting. I am lucky to have 9% CP from a maize. मिल नहीं रही, बुक में तो बहुत कुछ लिखा है. DORB 15% CP, 5% AIA. AIA 5% कभी नहीं आता. Soya DOC, they have said 45% CP. And cotton seed cake, mind you, I am challenging 22% crude fiber should be the maximum. I am yet to see a cotton seed cake sample less than 28% or 30% crude fiber for the last 4 years. And the people who are making the cotton seed cake, they have said same is the machine. What has happened to the, so then GM crops play a role. Formulas, BIS also in annexure D has given 4.2 where it has itself added 1.5% salt. Go to their site and they have said 1.5% salt you can add. But now in law they say don't add more than 1%. Groundnut extraction they say 15% you can use, then you yourself know what is the aflatoxin level. Mineral mixture you must add 2%, 99% of feed millers do not add mineral mixture. 2006, since I started thinking something, we came into trace mineral concept in dairy industry. Trace mineral, then you have DCP, then you have calcium, put in the mixture, put all the feed ingredients, mix it properly, everything is available. Separately, you are marketing mineral mixture and nobody, feed miller is following it. Then in ration, molasses 10%. This is the UP market actually, 10% molasses. Not all over India. And rice polish when added 50%, what is the rancidity level, etc. Nobody is going to check. So with this formulation, I didn't mention the grain part, itself has 50 ppb in it. Then if I am talking about the law, then there is a law, young stock, way back in 1970. And it says calf starter meal 8 weeks to 26 weeks. Calf grower meal 26 weeks. It was reformed in 1980, 2004, 2014, 2019, and still we say calf starter must be started from 8 weeks onwards because the standards are such 7% fiber is written. And we are in market, there are pre-starter also, like in broilers. And we have milk replacers also. And we are still sitting in 1970. Sir, 2 slides more, please. In poultry, the law reformed 2011-1621, Table 1, page 3, note 4. It says, law says, if you add amino acid like lysine, methionine, CP can be reduced. Crude protein can be reduced, everybody knows. Then what about dairy? If I want to add lysine, methionine, even histidine work is going on in dairy. If I want to add lysine, methionine, shouldn't I reduce the CP content? But the law says no, 20%. Dr. Kulkarni, I said I will talk. I have a farmer having 14% CP and getting 35 liters of milk. And we are talking about the 20. And all nitrogen is going waste, then it is causing pollution. Nobody bothers about the water pollution. More phosphorus we have, more nitrogen we have. Have anybody estimated what the phosphorus is leached and what is the nitrogen? Then we are not talking about the environment law. I mentioned Dr. Desai, what she said. So it means you can well imagine the slide is latest one. Like pet food also. Pet food says the feed must be boiled or 100 degrees centigrade for 40 minutes. Now you can well imagine 40 minutes at 100 centigrade, what the vitamin level will be there. And they say calcium to phosphorus is 1:1. IS, pet food, BIS. I don't want to talk about the pig feed, etc. Lot of things in it also. It is also written in BIS. BIS has listed 34 ingredients, sir. Go standardbs.bsh.com. There is no mention of soybean, no mention of DDGs. देख लो BIS का सोयाबीन का कोई स्टैंडर्ड नहीं है, आ रहा है अभी तक. और DDGs मैम बोल के गए हैं, राइस का बनेगा, ज्वार का, मेज़ का या मिक्स, हर DDGs की अपनी अपनी कंपोजिशन होगी. We are yet to get BIS standard for soybean, which you are talking. Kindly check. Then salt seed meal, bakery waste, noodle waste, we enjoyed a lot, and they are not mentioned in the BIS standards. So my point of it, if they have listed such a ingredients, if I am getting extra ingredient which is available, which is good, why? What is the harm? If there is no harm, they allow us, then it is okay, but they have listed you cannot add more than this. So this is the problem in cattle law. Then Fssi has said laboratory, records, documentation. For a small feed miller to run a laboratory, it costs around 5 lakh rupees a month. His running cost will be 1 lakh. Let him produce 10,000 bags, then he may add. Then national level livestock mission, madam has said. So I want more application through this. All circulation has begun. Unfortunately, only 2 applications from Punjab. One is Tara, one is Tiwana, you have already listed, I don't know the other. Third one person I am having here, I am asking him just to apply, but some problem he has. Then last is silage bales are coming in the market. They are wrapped up. Shouldn't they fall under BI specification? Are they fodder now? If feed miller is making, grinding and mixing it, they are also buying fodder, grinding it and then adding it, and they are doing a lot of bad things in it. So bales should be under this law so that their quality can be judged, because a lot of aflatoxin are coming up for Vistra and Rystra. Sir, last minute, Dr. Inderjit says, can't we use Rystra in cattle ration? I said, yes, replace Vistra 1 to 2 kg. He says, little bit more. I said, 2 kg, maybe 3 kg Rystra. He says, can't we add 5-7 kg Rystra in their feed? I said, do you want cow dung or milk? That is your choice. Cow can't. So when the government says that this is the residue management program, then who will check the aflatoxin? Because every farmer knows the seed treatment, soil-borne fungus. So we cut the straw reaper type, and every soil it is full of toxin, so it is very difficult to control. So in humid conditions in India, and 80% of milk is produced by small and marginal farmer, and the share of branded feed is 15% all over India, and we are concerned about the 15%. Let that other 80% you should touch, then you can see the blockage of Delhi, because the farmers are now united. Thanks for your patience.
Thank you so much, Parvinder. We are a democratic country, and you have seen parliament discussions. It is like heart touching. Dil se bola Parvinder ji ne. See, basically, who are making laws? We are only making laws. So that's why it's an open discussion, very nicely enumerated that, how these flaws have been done. It is old, and खुल के बोलना है बोलते हैं ना, खुल के बोल दो. अभी yesterday our leader, BSY started with thank you for the first slide, thanking the government, and now my colleague Lipi Serewal thanked the industry. ये ambition होना है. We have to thank each other. So let us not blame each other. BS is here and the industry experts are here. So वो blame game मैं बोलूँगा, let us not worry about who did it. But I was checking with them that there is a chance of amendment. See, constitution can be amended. 370 has been amended. So इसीलिए करेंगे, चिंता मत करिए, डरना नहीं है, जो गलती हुआ है वो करेंगे. So now I'll give my counterpart, my colleague, from BAS, Amit Chaudhary, who has received all the bullet shots from Parvinder ji. It's good. It's a very, very, what you call open discussion. So let me throw the mic to my good friend Amit Chaudhary, representing as the Joint Director of Bureau of Indian Standards from Mumbai. He represents BAS. Now I would ask his comments, how we can really create an ecosystem. I said in the lunch discussion, in airport you find discipline, in 5-star hotel you find discipline. So why can't we get that ecosystem to get disciplined? So that is the only thing which we have to bring in. So we can debate on issues like, what negative hai, positive hai, but ultimately positive line pe aana hai na. Now I'll give it to my good friend Amit Chaudhary.
Thank you. I'll really congratulate Mr. Bajaj, Mr. Praminder. So he actually really brought out some important issues. So I just wanted to have only one comment on that, these standards that Bureau of Indian Standard formulates, it is not a one-person job. We have a committee for that, and we have representations from industries and from academia, from research organizations. Everybody sit together and they contemplate, debate what should be mentioned in the standard, and we also take that thing into the draft stage, and we see comments from all the, we bring it in the purview of public, and we see comments from all the forum. So at that time, any comment which is worth acceptable is also contemplated in the meeting before finalizing the document standards and publishing it through gazette notification. So these issues could be there. I do not say that, these issues are not there. This could be there, but my only suggestion would be, you can be in touch with us, and for that matter with Bureau of Indian Standard also. We can take it up and have amendments also. If there are issues, if industry is facing difficulties somewhere, so we can take it up and bring out suitable amendments so that it takes into account or caters to your requirement as well. So this is what I would just thought that I'll be adding to what you have been speaking, and it was really worth what you have brought it out, and because until unless somebody speaks out, nobody will know. So it was good that at this forum you have spoken about the issues with the Indian Standard IS 2052. So we'll definitely take it up and take it further for improving it so that it is acceptable to everybody and all the stakeholders benefit from it. So coming to the point, Mr. I forgot. Mr. Mahesh was taking it up. So basically our purpose, our motive, why we are there in this, arena is that we have been given the responsibility of formulating the standards. And why standards are required? Because, that standard, that is a document, that is the technical requirement that is specified. So that is basically not to control anything. It actually basically fosters development. So, if I go back to the history of Bureau of Indian Standards, this genesis of Bureau of Indian Standards was only on the basis that it helps the industry to develop their own system. That is the basic motive why Bureau of Indian Standards came into the existence. And I mean, that motto, that vision, that mission, we are still continuing with it. And when we formulate these standards, we keep all those objectives in our mind. And we currently we are having somewhere near 1100 standards which are covered in the product certification, and we are having 40,000 licenses under different product categories. For example, if we speak of packaged drinking water, for that matter, domestic pressure cookers, LPG stove, for products like cylinders, LPG regulators. So there are different varieties of products that we have catered to, and we have been interested by the industry. For example, if we talk about FSI, they have entrusted the responsibility of certification of this packaged drinking water under IS 14543 and 13428 to Bureau of Indian Standards, just to see that the implementation part, in fact, the certification part of it is taken care of properly, responsibly. So that way, PESO has also assigned us with the responsibility of certification, and also issuing certificates, lot inspection certificates for the products which are, I mean, very important from the safety aspect, like LPG cylinders. I tell you, I'm currently working in Mumbai branch office 1, and every week we go for inspection, lot inspections of cylinders. So only to ensure that the product complies with the basic requirement. When a customer or a consumer in his house or in her house is preparing a food or using some gas cylinder regulator or pipeline, so some unwanted incident doesn't happen. So this is the kind of control that we should be there from the perspective of the government, as well as from the consumer perspective as well. So, I mean, with this objective, we keep, this is the driving force that is carrying us forward, Bureau of Indian Standards. We work for all the stakeholders, including the industry, the consumers, and even the regulators. For example, I mean, if IS 14543 has been brought into the fold of mandatory certification, so it is because this standard was available to bring it into that fold. So that way, we, I mean, help all the concerned stakeholders, all the concerned regulators also for that matter. So, I mean, how Bureau of Indian Standards can help in having a better quality culture in this sphere. So, in addition to the formulation of the standards, we do have our consumer awareness wing also. So we also educate consumers about the importance of the Indian standards, and by acceptance of the standards, how they are going to benefit the industries, how the industries are going to benefit, how the consumers are going to benefit. So all this information we do disseminate for all the stakeholders, and I mean, this way we are propagating the quality culture, trying to inculcate the quality culture in our country. And if I go by the data that I am having, since in 2010, approximately somewhere near 20,000 licenses we are having. And if we talk about 2020, we are having almost 40,000 licenses of ISI certification. Leave apart the hallmarking licenses and the registration licenses. If we account all of it, so it would be more than 1 lakh licenses. Recently, last year, the hallmarking thing had also come up under the fold of mandatory fold. And since then, somewhere, if I talk about only Mumbai branch office 1, initially before the era of mandatory hallmarking, we were having somewhere 2,000 licenses. After this mandatory hallmarking regime, so it increased to 8,000. 8,000 licenses, it is still going on. So my, I mean, the motive for bringing out all these things is that when, I mean, when the challenges come up, so Bureau of Indian Standards do take it up, and we try to improve it so that it is helpful for all the stakeholders. So, and we have, I tell you, when this mandatory hallmarking scheme was initiated or contemplated by our ministry, At that time, it was a big challenge. We used to have discussions every day. So it should not hurt the common consumers, I mean, the industry, the jewelers, I mean, the shop, the people who were having small shops. So everything, every aspect was taken into consideration before just going ahead with the implementation part. So this is our motto, motto of Bureau of Finance Standards. Before indulging into anything, we take into account of all the aspects so that it doesn't, hurt the industry or hurt any consumers in a wrong manner.
Thank you. Thank you, Amit Chaudhary, putting up a perspective from their side. So I've been telling, yesterday Bharat Tandon sir was asking, महेश कैसे करना है गवर्नमेंट में भी इन्वॉल्वमेंट एंगेजमेंट ज़्यादा होना है. I go back to my memory of 2014 CLFMA in Cochin. So when we made a statement, I made a statement there, see it is like this, as long as we go on playing squash, we will not win. Let us play tennis. So engage with us more. So there are about 53 institutions of animal husbandry. Kindly go to their websites, engage them, trouble them. So we will be part of it. Because I was a part of BAS 18, I can say that how the response will come from the industry. People will not attend. We'll have to plead second time, third time, fourth time. वो बड़ी मुश्किल बात है. FAD 18, I was a member also. जो law बनाना बहुत मुश्किल है. इसलिए मैं बोल रहा हूँ आज का स्टेटमेंट याद रखिए, स्क्वैश मत के लिए, टेनिस के लिए, ठीक है. नाउ लेट मी गिव इट टू माय गुड फ्रेंड डॉक्टर Raghavendra Bhattaji. He is heading a great institution called National Institute of Animal Nutrition and Physiology. From his perspective, how we can create an ecosystem, wonderful campus. I would welcome all of you to his campus in the city, almost like 10 acres. Our campus is almost 150 acres in Hesarghatta. And almost, you can have 3,000 acres of green campus. Kindly visit. So once you visit, you will enjoy. You will enjoy how government functions within the 85% vacancy position, 85%. 85% वैकेंसी में कैसे हम लोग काम करते हैं, आप पहली बार आके देखना है. मेरा रिक्वेस्ट ये है. सो बिकॉज सरकारी लोगों को आफ्टरनून बिठा के आप देख रहे हो, बट हम बोल रहे हैं आप आ जाइए, हमारे पास आइए. इधर यू कैन सी रानडे. So actively involved in nutrition. There are many silent workers. I am a little vocal ambassador from the government, but many people are there, silent workers. Engage them. You will definitely get the benefit. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Good evening. Thanks, CLFMA, especially Neeraj ji and Dr. Vijay Makija for inviting me here. And I also always feel very happy that when I get introduced as started his career from Mysore Feeds, because I think I'm the only person in the ICR system who has an experience with the feed industry. And I have been attending this CLFMA meeting almost all the time, right from the day I finished my master degree, almost from 1991 onwards, I have been attending this. I would like to thank at the outset Dr. Amit Sharma ji for giving an overview, though a bit scary for the industry, and a nice rebuttal by Dr. Parminder Singh, finding out the loopholes, the lacuna which is there in the system, and Ms. Chaudhary trying to bring some solace to the overall discussion, saying that we'll have more discussion and before we really implement. Yeah, so my job is, in a way, is very comfortable because already all the presentations are already over. And otherwise, it's a bit tricky because I carry a legacy from the industry, which always I feel that I'm in a part of the feed industry. And right now, I'm in the other side of the fence because I have been there in most of these committees in BIS, in FSSI, and recently Government of India constituted a new committee for the quality. I'm one of the experts in that. And I was asking Dr. Parminder ji, what is the punishment for the non-compliance? He said, Sasa jail. It is 7 years of jail for the non-compliance. So that means, once it comes into, enforced main stage, then there is nothing like, you have an excuse. And all those points which, Dr. Parminder was mentioning, I fully agree with him that, when you take up this type of activities, we have to really have, a brainstorming session, talk to the people who are very much, involved in this. I'll give an example, the Government of India came out with the GEM, I think all of you must be doing, government e-marketing. And it started with GEM 1, and they said whatever the items you purchase in government organizations should be through GEM only. Then after that, it became GEM 2. There are very less people and we could buy some quality material through GEM. By the time people have realized that unless until you have a registration in GEM, it is very difficult to sell. Then it became GEM 3, now it is GEM 4. I'll give an example. Last time we wanted to purchase around 20 computers. So I asked my people that, who are very good in procurement through GEM, you give specification in such a way that, we get the best, maybe Dell or Lenovo or HP, whatever it is. Finally, when we went for the shortlisting, there were 6-7 people they have participated. The L1 is the one, he had specifications for for Lenovo, Dell, and HP, and finally he said, assembled. Okay, so the moment you say it's an assembled, we absolutely have no guarantee that the motherboard may go in 6 months. Okay, so the point which I am trying to make over here is that, when we are taking these decisions, what is the harm if it gets postponed for another 6 months? Another 1 year, why only 2021 January? Why not 2023 January or 2024 January? I'll give another example, which I think you all agree with me that, we have a Indo-German collaborative project. This is a very interesting result. I think you should listen to this. We conducted a trial in about 49 farms, and we collected about in 4 the so-called highly polluted areas of Bangalore. We collected about 170 samples from the feed, from the milk, from the water, from the dung, as well as urine, for 16 recognized pesticides. And you will be surprised. I will not go to the other details. Chlorpyrifos is, we have seen almost 110 feed samples. 18% of the samples contained malathion, and the feed contained less than the maximum restricted limits. And the most important thing, 154 milk samples were absent for all the pesticides. So what I'm trying to tell you here is, many people have reported that milk sample have been contaminated with pesticide residue. The first thing is, where did you analyze these samples? Is it an NABL accredited laboratory? Which procedure did you follow? How many samples you had taken? What is a pooled sample? Was it diluted sample? Was it a fresh sample? So my suggestions will be, before we invite comments by the chairman, Dr. Parminder also again mentioned about the protein content in the feed. So now we are talking about the precision feeding. So if you reduce the protein percentage and add the specific amino acids, lysine and methionine, you don't need 20% protein. You're trying to say that 14% protein, 30 liters of milk with the amino acid balance. So when you have this, when a science is advancing, when you are going for, you should not go for the old gold standard, 20% to hona hi chahiye. So my suggestion would be have some more discussion before it comes into effect. Second thing is, who are the people who are going to estimate these, these samples? Let government take up a decision that, we are going to have a district-wise, highly specific laboratories, state-of-the-art procedure. You put a NABL accredited laboratory so that everybody can, analyze the samples, and we are very sure. Tomorrow what will happen, non-compliance, again the question will come, who has entered sample? Is it a referral laboratory? Is it an enabled accredited laboratory? Who has taken the sample? How representative is the sample? Again, all these questions will be there. It will be a great Pandora box. I think that, yeah, these are the points I just wanted to share with you. I think obviously we'll be having lot many questions from your side. And once again, I would like to thank CLFMA for this opportunity. Back to Dr. Mahesh.
Thank you, Dr. Bhatta, giving a very good perspective. So I think, we'll take some few questions. Before that, the concluding remarks, what I can say is, it's wonderful to have people from FSSI, BIS, Academia, and an ICR institution. So let me give you one good story, having learnt all this. So futuristic thinking, who has done and how it has been done. It is giving an example from our own state, Karnataka, Lifeline Group. Yesterday I was checking with Mr. Kishore Hegde. So he's like, we wanted to invite him here to speak on behalf of the industry, how he has taken up certifications and things which he has done to go to that level, commanding almost 90% market share in the high-end quality product in Karnataka. Because he is not funded by any free money, like venture capitals or anything. He is being funded by himself. I was checking with him. He said, ISO 9001-2015 QMS, that is Quality Management System Certified. ISO 14001-2015 environmental standards. Because he is running his farms with solar, 2 farms completely run by solar, entire rainwater harvesting done, recharging the bore wells, biogas production. So these are the futuristic thinking. Silently he has done that certification also. The other one in ISO is ISO 45001-2018, that is health and safety workplace. He is thinking about workplace environment also. This is an example how an institution which is built by self has done that. The second certification is Export Import Council certification. He has a certification. The FSSI certifications, I was asking him, FSSI ISO 22000-2008, ISO 22002, 12009, FSSC 22000, food safety. So these are the certifications. He could manage it, and he has proved it that can be done. The last one to quote is FSSI 5-star hygiene rating. I was searching in the net that what is this FSSI 5-star rating. It has been given to IRCTC. It has been given to many hotels and restaurants for that food safety model. So what I want to illustrate here is it is doable. Can be managed. It can be really done in a way better way in India also. So thank you. I think I'll take maybe 4 questions or 2 questions. Jitna bhi question hai, abhi I think afternoon mein sab take hai. Sunil, please. Yeah. Kulkarni ji. Yeah.
Clear. Yeah, thank you. My name is Dr. Sujit Kulkarni from Adisio. First of all, thanks Dr. Parmandir Singh sir raising the issue of regarding the reducing the dependency on the crude protein and with the increasing the usage of the methionine. Sir, Dr. Mahesh, you are emphasizing on the green signal and yellow signal. मुझे वो शोले का डायलॉग याद आ गया कि बेटा सो जा दे तो गब्बर सिंह आ जाएगा. तो अभी मतलब इस डायलॉग से इतने परेशान है, पता नहीं अगर सच में जो 7 साल की सज़ा की डॉक्टर भट्ट बात कर रहे हैं उस टाइम पे अगर इतना इम्प्लीमेंट होता है तो ऐसा लग रहा है कि ये 2 लोग गब्बर और हम बसंती हो जाएंगे. Just jokes apart. So one question is regarding to BIS specifically, that if you have some new solutions which you don't have the method of analysis, so then what happened that if you approach to the farmers or dairy farmers, for example, and there is no method of analysis, they hesitate to using that. They says ki the circulation or there is no method of analysis in BIS. And we find that to where to approach, means we approach state BIS, they says it goes to Delhi. We don't know which is the authority where to you explain that solutions. And these solutions are method of analysis are approved by the global standards. For example, European Union standard, which was one of the best standard globally. If they are approved, if there is some international laboratories or nutritional institutions which are very, very reputed, and if they are the one which has authorized and they are the given validation, and that if we give, we suggest you, so how we approach and where to go? Means personally, I'm also we confused and we stuck in last 2 months, truly speaking.
Just can you repeat your question? Actually, exactly what is your I mean, what difficulty you are facing?
We approach with the one derivative innovative solution, like the same solution which Parminder sir
Yes, yes.
raised, that to reduce the dependency on the crude protein with increasing the methionine part.
Right.
And that solution we offered to the feed manufacturer, dairy feed manufacturer. And they accepted, but in between they need some method of analysis which is in the approved list of the BIS.
Right.
But BIS never came across to these solutions. They don't have the protocol or the method of analysis.
No, actually, generally what happens in the Indian standard, the standard against which the test results or the requirement are to be tested is mentioned in general. It is mentioned in the standard itself what should be the test method. So for the test method, we have separate standards. Okay. So if you have developed a new test method, or if you have come across a new test method, and you think that should also be part of the standards, so in that case, means it is the whole process is completely different. Different in the sense that method should be validated. All those things are requirement. Those are things to be taken care of. So, but that can be incorporated in the standard. It is possible. It is not that it is impossible. So, as regards how to go about this. So we have our branch office also. If you are talking about northern region, if you are talking about Punjab region, we have our branch in the Chandigarh branch office we are having. So you can come to our branch office. You can give your representation that these are the things that we are facing, and we suggest these things. These are the documents that we want to submit along with this. So that thing could be incorporated. Can be taken up by our technical department for the change. If any change is required in the standards, any amendment is required to be brought out, so that thing could be considered by our technical department. Else, what you can do, we have our very dynamic portal. So we have our portal www.bis.gov.in. There also you can raise your concerns and use your suggestions on the standard itself. So that will be directly taken up by our technical department and it will be contemplated during the meeting. Technical committee meeting, and if required or if it is really acceptable, then it would be considered, and maybe that would be incorporated in the standard. I hope it is.
Okay, you mean if method is not there, you are ready to listen and implement that method, to new method. If we share you the
yes,
method
it is
of
possible.
analysis.
It can be incorporated, but it had to be through the consensus method. Amendment will be brought out, and then it will be feedback or suggestions from the public would be drawn, and when it is acceptable all throughout, then it will become a part of the standard and it will be gazetted.
Okay, thank you. I have one quick question, if you allow, Mahesh sir. Yeah. So to FSSI, Dr. Amit Sharma, that regarding the feed standards, so what happened that we can understand the food safety regarding milk, but I'm referring very specific on the aflatoxin. AFM1, we are really concerned that, and we understood. But the challenge is that the issue of the aflatoxin in the feed, you mentioned 20 ppb. And we do survey of thousands of samples with the finished feed, raw material. Mycotoxins first are irreversible, they cannot be reversed. And then we cannot control on the storage of the grains, as Dr. Parminder Singh sir raised. We cannot control. And there are so many factors in that. And we've seen thousands of samples, which is very commonly in the finished feed also, which is 50 ppb, 100 ppb, sometimes more than 100 ppb also. And the issue is that there is no solutions which can bind or reduce mycotoxin in the feed. There is no solutions. Whatever solutions for we call as a binding or adsorption, that happens inside the body, not in the feed. So then how you tackle this? Means what is the solution when there is a really challenge on that?
So right now, Food Safety Authority has not notified the standards for the feed. And from authority side, there is no limitation on the aflatoxin limits in the feed. We have only specified the aflatoxin limit in the liquid milk, number one. Number two, that's why we are here, just to interact with you all people, that if aflatoxin limit in a feed is say 50 ppb, and how much it can interpolate it into the liquid milk so that it does not crosses my limit. So if the scientific community can come forward with some suggestions, say that, okay, you fix up a limit of aflatoxin in feed, say 100 ppb, 1000 ppb, whatever it be. But my ultimate aim is that milk should not have more than the prescribed limits. So right now it's not a sacrosanct, and it is not that we are going to fix up the same limits for the milk and same limits for the feed as well. So you have to tell me some scientific justification that how much limit can be fixed up for the feed so that it may meet my requirement in the milk. That's it.
Sir, I am Abir Mukherjee from Glamak. My question was little different, but just I heard about these mycotoxin things. The biggest challenge for everybody is the preformed toxins, which is coming from the grains, and that's a masked mycotoxin. And the irony, if you want to test a masked mycotoxin parameter, I am doubt whether it is still available in India, but the sample has to send to abroad. If you really want to have a masked mycotoxin level. Anyway, sir, my question is little different in a different perspective. As you rightly said, that everything is possible because you are bringing certain standard to start with cattle feed and then comes to the poultry feed. We must honor your view, and you are absolutely right. But I have one question, sir, because the parameter which you are bringing, that is an industrial parameter. We are still functioning as an husbandry. So are you uplifting both dairy, poultry, everything to an industry? Are you giving an industry status? Or still you want to run it as an husbandry and want to implement industrial norms? Because those cannot run together. If you really giving poultry and dairy an industrial status, then the industry deserve so many facilities and opportunities to live up to your industrial status certification. Believe me, sir, I am here for last 2 days. With your this regulation, I have seen many people, some cattle feed manufacturer also here. I passed almost 36 years in the industry. 70% of the people, they are still running it as a husbandry. They don't have any knowledge about industrial needs and requirement. Poultry definitely uplifted, but still poultry has to go a lot. There are few big players, those who can capable, those who can manage, those who are financially stable to meet up those industrial status and recognition or the certification. But a cattle feed fraternity, if you look very closely, some people started a feed mill. There are hundred thousands of people's families are involved.
Kindly concise your question.
Okay, I would like to finish, sir. You are bringing, we all also would like to have. Every mother, they feel that their children should have a better milk, pure milk, clean milk. But sir, to reach that level, please create certain infrastructure. Even the small people, those who are running their cattle feed mill or even poultry feed mill, consciously they also want to uplift their standard. They don't want to give bad products. But please create certain infrastructure. First, let them get educated or graduated through that process, and then they will be qualified to your standard. So my humble request, please create infrastructure so that they also believe we are not husbandry, we are industry. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, well noted. To give a just quick comments on the sector-wise, I think, as I understand, it's a state subject, and union government has recommended that it should be declared as an agriculture. So, many states have declared it as an agriculture. That's why we are demanding a lot of benefits under the agriculture. So, each state has to think on that regulations part. Any other questions? We well noted. Yeah.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Myself G.S. Sodhi.
Last question. Yeah.
मैं कैटल फीड मैन्युफैक्चरर निर्माता हूं पंजाब से, और यहां पे मैं एफमा को रिप्रेजेंट कर रहा हूं। एफमा है जो पंजाब में मोर देन 500 कैटल फीड मैन्युफैक्चरर्स को रिप्रेजेंट करती है, और हम पिछले 2-3 साल से काफ़ी टेक्निकल वर्कशॉप ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहे हैं। वैसे जितनी भी मेरी क्वेरीज थी, मैं बहुत थैंकफुल हूँ यहाँ पे जो टेक्निकल पैनलिस्ट बैठे हैं, उन्होंने मोर देन 99% जो मेरी क्वेरीज थी जो मैं अपनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन की तरफ से लेके आया था, उन्होंने काफ़ी हद तक वही मुद्दे उठाए हैं।
आप स्पेसिफिक बता दीजिए टाइम।
मेरा यही है कि क्या जो रॉ मटेरियल लॉबी है, लाइक जैसे DORB है या कल को जैसे मक्का के ट्रेडर हैं, क्या कोई BIS में हम इन फ्यूचर ऐसा भी कोई लॉ एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं कि हमें BIS या गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से कुछ गाइडलाइंस मिले कि जे मक्का के मेन ट्रेडर हैं, जे अफ्लाटॉक्सिन फ्री जो मेज सेल करते हैं, या अफ्लाटॉक्सिन फ्री मेज प्रोड्यूस करते हैं, आप इनसे लो, और DORB जो है जे सॉल्वेक्स लॉबीज के लिए ये नॉर्म्स आप इनसे परचेज कर सकते हो। क्या BIS ऐसा भी कुछ आगे हम BIS से एक्सपेक्ट कर सकते हैं?
जैसा सर ने अभी बोला, स्पेशली इन मेज सर, हमारे पास डिफरेंट वैरायटीज़ हैं। हमें कौन सी मेज़ यूज़ करनी चाहिए, किसके अंदर अफ्लाटॉक्सिन लेवल ज़्यादा है, किसके अंदर कम है, हमारे पास ऐसा कोई भी नॉलेज नहीं है। हमारे पास मार्केट में चीज़ आ रहा है, हम उसको प्रोक्योर कर रहे हैं। गवर्नमेंट की तरफ से हमें ये हेल्प चाहिए कि कौन सी मेज़ हमने परचेज़ करनी है, कौन सी वैरायटी परचेज़ करनी है, उसकी सोइंग ज़्यादा हो, ताकि कुछ हो हमारे लिए।
इसमें मैं इतना यही कहना चाहूँगा, जो हमारी जो ब्यूरो ऑफ इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड्स है, नेशनल स्टैंडर्ड्स बॉडी ऑफ इंडिया है, तो हम लोग जो स्टैंडर्ड्स बनाते हैं उसके रिक्वायरमेंट डिफाइन करते हैं कि स्टैंडर्ड में क्या क्या होनी चाहिए। हम लोग किसी ब्रांड को प्रमोट नहीं करते और उसमें मेंशन भी नहीं करते हैं, तो ये स्टैंडर्ड में कभी आ नहीं सकता है कि आप इस ब्रांड का कोई जो रॉ मटेरियल आप इस्तेमाल करें। वो आज तक हुआ नहीं है, इन फ्यूचर में पॉसिबल नहीं है। इसके लिए फिर आप मतलब गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया कुछ लेकर आए तो दैट इज डिफरेंट, बट फ्रॉम टॉकिंग फ्रॉम BIS दैट कैन नॉट बी अ पार्ट ऑफ एनी इंडियन स्टैंडर्ड।
सर यार इसमें ये था कि जो ट्रेडर हैं जिनसे हम लोग परचेज करते हैं, क्या वो ट्रेडर भी BIS के अंडर आएंगे?
बिल्कुल।
नंबर 2, जो सरकार टेंडर निकालती है जैसे वीट के या मेज के, जो थोड़ा सा तो
नहीं,
क्या
देखिए ये गवर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडिया डिसाइड करेगी किसको क्या सर्टिफिकेशन या रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना है। तो वो जब तक ये रेगुलेशंस नहीं आएगी तो इस पर कहना मुश्किल है कि ट्रेडर को लेना होगा या मैन्युफैक्चरर को लेना होगा, ये कहना बहुत मुश्किल है। जनरली जब हम ISI मार्क की बात करते हैं, हम लोग मैन्युफैक्चरर को ही देते हैं, ट्रेडर को लाइसेंस लेने की जरूरत नहीं पड़ती है BIS से
तो
इन जनरल। लेकिन अभी रेगुलेशन देखने के बाद ही हम कह सकते हैं कि ट्रेडर को क्या जरूरत पड़ेगी, रजिस्ट्रेशन की जरूरत पड़ेगी या लाइसेंस की जरूरत पड़ेगी। वी कैन नॉट कमेंट एट दिस पॉइंट।
सर क्या BIS जो है अभी कब तक, जैसे पंजाब जैसी स्टेट में है, यहाँ सबसे ज़्यादा डेयरी इन्फ्लुएंस रहती है, डेयरी का न्यूट्रिशन इंडस्ट्री इन्फ्लुएंस रहती है, ये कब तक इम्प्लीमेंट होगा भी कि नहीं होगा?
आप किसके बारे में बात कर रहे हैं?
BIS
स्पेसिफिक टू विच वर्ड?
कैटल फीड।
ये देखिए ये इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया है, ये 1 जनवरी से 2022 से इम्प्लीमेंट हो गया है, एंड वी आर हैविंग सम 159 लाइसेंसेज आल्सो ऑल ओवर इंडिया। 159 जो मैन्युफैक्चरर्स ने लाइसेंस भी ले रखा है ऑल ओवर इंडिया में कैटल फीड का, IS 2005-2009 का, तो इट इज़ इम्प्लीमेंटेड।
सर जो 80% होम मिक्स फार्मर जो अपनी फीड खुद बनवाता है, क्या BIS उनके ऊपर भी इम्प्लीमेंट होगा इन फ्यूचर?
आई थिंक
जिसको सर कस्टमाइज्ड, पंजाब में 2 तरह की फीड बनती है। वन इज कस्टमाइज्ड, जो फार्मर अपना राशन लेकर जाता है तो उस जो हमारे कुलीग है फीड मिलर, उनको वो डायरेक्शन देता है इसमें ये डाल दो वो डाल दो, वो प्रोसेस करके ले जाता है। दूसरा है ब्रांडेड फीड। ब्रांडेड फीड का शेयर जैसे सर ने बोला कि नियर बाई 20% है, लेकिन 80% जो भी आज की डेट में नॉर्थ इंडिया में जो ट्रेंड है वो कस्टमाइज्ड फीड का है। कुछ फार्मर अपने घर से अपना राशन लाते हैं, कुछ फीड मिल मिक्स करता है, क्या ये लॉ उनके ऊपर भी इंप्लीमेंट होगा?
आई थिंक मिस्टर शर्मा वुड बी द राइट पर्सन टू कमेंट ऑन दिस।
सर पहली चीज़ ये है कि जो कंपाउंड कैटल फीड की सेल के लिए BIS की रजिस्ट्रेशन की रिक्वायरमेंट थी वो ऑलरेडी इम्प्लीमेंटेड है। दूसरा ये केवल अगर आप कंपाउंड कैटल फीड को सेल कर रहे हैं
जी
तो एप्लीकेबल है। अगर आप अपना राशन खुद बनवा करके अपने ही फार्म पे इस्तेमाल करेंगे,
नहीं सर, मतलब कि हमारे फीड मिलर जो है 80% फीड मिल के ऊपर कस्टमाइज्ड काम है। फार्मर गांव से आता है, मक्का ले आया, खल उससे पलवाई, DOC उससे पलवा कर उसको वहीं उसके प्लांट में मिक्स करा के अपनी ट्रॉली पर वापस ले गया।
अगर मार्केट में
वाइट बैग में,
अगर मार्केट में पैकिंग करके नहीं बेच रहे हैं तो एप्लीकेबल नहीं है। अगर मार्केट में पैकिंग करके बेचेंगे तो एप्लीकेबल है।
ठीक है, थैंक यू सर।
Sir,
Thank you. I think I'll have to stop.
Sir,
They'll all be there for the tea.
Sir, last question.
No, please. They'll be there. Don't worry, बैठिए।
FSSAI जब नया नॉर्म्स ला रही है तो फिर BIS की क्या जरूरत है सर?
नहीं, both are together.
मतलब दोनों के चक्कर में फंसा दिया हमको।
मैं
जबरदस्त कंफ्यूजन है जिसकी हद नहीं।
मैं एक लाइन में क्लियर कर देता हूँ। आज की डेट में FSI के एम्बिट में फीड नहीं था, लेकिन चूंकि रिक्वायरमेंट आई थी इसलिए हमने BIS को नोटिफाई किया, क्योंकि BIS के अपने वॉलंटरी स्टैंडर्ड्स ऑलरेडी मार्केट में अवेलेबल थे। जिस दिन FSI का रेगुलेशन नोटिफाई हो जाएगा उस दिन केवल FSI का रेगुलेशन ही एप्लीकेबल और इम्प्लीमेंटेबल होगा। एक कंपनी को दो दो जगह पे रजिस्ट्रेशन करवाने की या लाइसेंस लेने की ज़रूरत नहीं पड़ेगी।
तो सर FSI अभी BIS को तो रोक दीजिए, हमारा कितना खर्चा लग रहा है सर अभी से, मतलब रजिस्ट्रेशन लेना, लैब बनाना, ये आपका जो भी आएगा उसको फॉलो कर लेंगे जो फाइनली होगा। अभी तो हमारे डबल हो रहा है ना, पहले BIS लो, फिर BIS को छोड़ के FSI लो।
तो FSI के जो स्टैंडर्ड्स बनेंगे, मैंने जैसे प्रेजेंटेशन में बताया कि हम क्वालिटी पैरामीटर्स पे बिल्कुल नहीं जाने वाले कि आप उसमें कितना प्रोटीन डालेंगे, कितना क्रूड फाइबर होगा, हम उसके ऊपर बिल्कुल नहीं जाने वाले। वो आपका इंटरनल रेसिपी है। हम केवल सेफ्टी पैरामीटर्स पे जाएंगे कि उसमें अगर पेस्टिसाइड्स कितना आ रहा है या हैवी मेटल्स कितने आ रहे हैं या फिर एफ्लाटॉक्सिन कितना आ रहा है, केवल हम वही हॉरिजॉन्टल स्टैंडर्ड्स को ही नोटिफाई करने वाले हैं। क्वालिटी स्टैंडर्ड्स या वर्टिकल स्टैंडर्ड्स को हम नहीं नोटिफाई करेंगे।
सर ये पॉइंट अफ्लाटॉक्सिन वाला हमने चंडीगढ़ में भी रखा BIS के आगे। अभी इससे बेस्ट प्लेटफॉर्म हमें कहीं नहीं मिल सकता, हम यहाँ पे भी रख सकते हैं, रखा है सर।
थैंक यू, आपका सब
एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं फेवरेबल आएगा हमारी
डिबेट
फेवर।
चलती रहेगी। थैंक यू सो मच।
थैंक यू।
टू कंक्लूडिंगली आई थैंक डॉक्टर राघवेंद्र भट्टाजी, डॉक्टर परमिंदर सिंह and my good friend Amit Sharma and then Chaudhary ji, for all the audience having listened so carefully. The debate can go on. It's a little contentious topic. So only thing what Amit Sharma said is, final product, दो आपका डोसा है, इडली है, जो खाने वाला है, वो चीज़ में इतना अफ्लाटॉक्सिन नहीं होना, दूध में नहीं होना, जूस में नहीं होना। कैसा खिलाएगी, दैट इज अ बैक एंड। मतलब मूवी रिलीज करना है, आप मूवी देख रहे हैं, बस पीछे कैसे करोगे वो मान नहीं रहे। मूवी हिट होगा नहीं होगा, आप उसी में डिसाइड करना पड़ेगा। थैंक यू वेरी मच। आई हैंड ओवर टू विजय शर्मा।
Yeah, so big round of applause to all the panelists and the moderator. So I request Neeraj to please felicitate the moderator of this session, Dr. P.S. Mahesh.